right. So today's T4Cast, today's installment, however you want to phrase this, is going to be kind of like hot takes, if you will. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if you really listen to me and what I'm saying, these hot takes aren't hot takes. It's just society has turned them into hot takes when it should just be like normal fact. You know what I mean? So, let's just get into it so you can hear what I'm talking about. Now, the first thing that I've been thinking about this for quite a while. I actually think I made a video on TikTok about this a couple of years ago. But my first hot take is I think that all this MeToo and stuff that's been happening, the MeToo movement, all these other allegations coming out like way after the fact, even Diddy recently, I think they're kind of stupid. And the reason I think it's stupid isn't that I'm like, oh, people should just be able to rape whoever they want, get away with it. No, I'm not an idiot. But I mean, it's just, why did you wait so long? You know what I mean? Half of these Me Too people are like, oh, 30 years ago, this happened to me. And it's like 30 years ago? Okay, so let's put this into context. In 30 years, let's say you were, say you were 15 when the incident happened, okay? So you're a kid. That's terrible and all. But now 30 years have passed. You'd be 45. Chances are you have potentially a grandchild. It might be a baby, but you could still have a grandchild. Like, it's 2 generations ago at this point, relatively speaking. You know what I mean? You waited that long. You're a grandparent now. Now you're going to say something? You didn't think to say anything when you were 20? You didn't think to say anything to your mom when you were 15? Or your dad? Or somebody at the school, a counselor or something? Like, you just kept it to yourself all these years, and now you're going to say something 30 years later. Really? Like, the whole Cosby situation. The Cosby situation obviously is pretty bad. I mean, what he did is pretty scummy to be putting drugs in girls' drinks, and then violating them. Like, that's ridiculous. But if you're a victim of that and you straight up know that that's what happened to you, like, what the? I remember being with him, and then I don't know what happened, and now somehow I'm home, or whatever he did with them. I don't know what he did after. But, if you knew something was suspicious, why wouldn't you say anything? Why did you keep it to yourself? Oh, Cosby violated me. Well, I'll never say anything. I don't like this, but I'll just live with it. Why didn't you ever say anything? And, like, I feel like some people might argue, oh, well, things were different back then. You think anybody would actually listen to a woman if she came out against Bill Cosby, who was, like, one of the biggest stars of the 80s and early 90s and blah, blah, blah? It's like, well, yeah, I do think something could have came of it, because it did now. It came through now. Whoever complained was able to get through now, so there's no reason that it couldn't have worked before. It's just, I feel like nobody tried. If you were persistent enough, it would have happened, obviously. Go to the police. Go to whoever you got to go to. Try to, get on the news even. Get extreme with it if you're being ignored. So I was violated by Cosby. The police did nothing. Lawyers have done nothing for me. All these people have done nothing, and I needed to get out there. Like, this is not okay. I'm not going to just sit by and allow this to be my reality. Just do what you got to do. Make it happen. Like, I guess that's another thing. People could argue, well, it's different now. The Me Too movement was able to happen because social media, so that made things easier. You didn't have social media in the 80s and 90s, so how would you spread a message? Well, like I said, you be persistent about it. You don't just let it slide. Jeez, even be a nuisance in your community. Make it like a normal thing in your community, so maybe it even gets on like a small local news network. Oh, it sounds like women, have been violated by Cosby. And then maybe it catches the bigger stations. Oh, this news network said something about this. I feel like, what'd you do? Nothing? You just let it slide. Well, and then now all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to jump on this bandwagon. Hey, guess what? 42 years ago, Bill Cosby did this to me. Like, okay, cool. I think the dumbest example of this is, or most ridiculous, whatever you want to say, example of this happened with, which is the one I made a TikTok on, happened with the actress in the Romeo and Juliet movie from like 1960 something. She came out like, what was it, last year or the year before that? And she's like, oh, when I was on that show, I was underage and I was violated or whatever. I don't know, molested or something. And okay, that sucks. Like, I'm not trying to condone it. But at the same time, this is literally 50 years ago. You waited 50 years? Like, my last example said you might have just started being a grandma. At this point, you straight up could be starting to become a great grandma. You have 3 generations that passed, and now you're going to say something about it? Like, I feel like if I was the judge in that situation, I'd just throw it out. I'd be like, look, what happened to you? I get it. It's not right. That sucks. But I don't know why you took 50 plus years to say something. So at this point, what do you expect me to do? It's almost like at this point, who cares? It's been long done and over with. I mean, geez, let's say the co-star that violated, say she was, 16, and the co-star was, 21. Well, 50 years later, he's 71. Like, this guy, this guy is senior citizen, depending on his health, could also dictate how he is in life. You know what I mean? Does he have Alzheimer's now, so he doesn't even remember anything? Is he one of these old guys that's in rough shape, bad joints and everything? Like, at this point, you took too long. And then I think the dumbest angle that some of them take is like with Harvey Weinstein, how everyone's come forward about Harvey. Oh, Harvey molested me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, he didn't. He offered you a proposition and said, oh, if you do this to my wiener, then I can get you a role in this movie. And these dumb girls were like, okay, I'll do it. And then they got their role. First off, that would make it like a consensual transaction. Okay? He didn't force you to do it. He said, hey, if you do this, then I'll do this for you. You did what he asked. He did what he told you he was going to do for you. You got your role. So you're going to complain about it now because, he wasn't like my boyfriend or anything. It was just like I felt pressured to do it so I could get a job, Okay, well, if it bothered you that much to do something with him, you could have just been like, what? I'm not doing that for a role. I'll just go to another studio or another producer or whatever, You don't stoop down and do it and be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm being forced into this. No one forced you, I don't think. I mean, I don't know the full details, but from what I have gathered, that's how it sounds. Like he offered them, hey, you do this for me, and I can make sure that you definitely get a role in this movie, and so they did it. And now they're going to cry about it? Like, no, he proposed something that he was interested in, and he ended up being victorious. Like, that's your problem. That you're an idiot and went for it. It's not like the Diddy parties. Okay, the Diddy parties are weird. That's like a mixture of, almost like a mixture of Harvey and Cosby. It's like they voluntarily went to these places. They knew drugs might be involved, so they kind of took the risk, but then they weren't really wanting that risk of being violated, but it happened. But at the same time, they're all underage, which makes it like, that's the tipping point. But yeah, so I just think the whole entire MeToo movement was pretty stupid. Like, what did you wait for? Why did you wait? Now you're going to complain about it years later? And I don't think any of them were even recent. You know what I mean? It's not like any of them were like, well, 5 years ago, this happened to me. It was all like 30 plus years. And it's like, oh, now you say something. Now, 30 years later, now you decide. Okay. Except for that Romeo and Juliet one. That one's even more ridiculous. I don't even think it's 50 years. I think it's more than 50. When did that movie come out? Like 64 or something? Well, I guess that would be 50. No, it'd be 60 years. 64 to 2024 is 60. So if this was, say, 2 years ago, yeah, that's 58 years ago. So never mind, it's way more than 50. So you know what I mean? That makes it even more ridiculous now. So it was just dumb. Also, then Me Too started to evolve. It became a situation where it was like, ew, I can use this to try to gain some notoriety and, like, defame somebody. And they'll listen to me because I'm just a sweet, innocent girl. And so then some broads were making up allegations that didn't actually happen. Some people were making up allegations against others. I mean, wasn't Kevin Spacey a victim of that when they said that he was, like, violating young boys or something? But then it came out that actually didn't happen. So I think he was one of those. Obviously, Trump, they've tried to do that against. Well, I don't know. There was at least E. Jean Carroll, which came out. I don't know the whole situation with that. I guess there was some kind of conviction, but at the same time, there's another aspect that, no, he didn't rape her, which that was the biggest thing that everyone tried to push, which obviously she started. But, yeah, so then it just got off the rails, too, and I don't think it's a thing anymore, which is good, I guess. But, yeah, it was just stupid while it was going. Now, another movement that I always thought was pretty dumb was the Black Lives Matter movement. And, don't go off being like, oh, you're just super racist. No, I didn't think Black Lives Matter was dumb because of racism. I thought it was dumb because, first off, nobody ever said that black lives didn't matter. Nobody said that no lives didn't matter. I mean, it's not like you'd think that would be a counter to like somebody actually being racist. Like, yeah, every life but black matters. And then this group comes up, no, black lives matter too, mother effer. No, instead it was just something dumb like, oh, these criminals don't know how to comply with the cops, and then they end up getting killed. Meh, they're black, and black lives matter. Meh. And it's like, yeah, well, don't be a dickhead, and you don't have to worry about anything. It's not a cop's fault that, what's the statistics? It's something like black people make up 13% of the population, but they commit like 60% of the crime or something stupid. You know, like, whose fault is that? Is it the cop that's just doing his job? Oh, I'm responding to a burglary. Oh, look, it's a black guy jumping out of the window. Well, I guess I can't do anything because then I'm going to be labeled racist or something if I arrest him. And then if he happens to have a weapon that he uses against me, but I use my weapon against him to defend myself, oh, I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to have to go to jail. Oh. No, like, you're the idiot stealing. Or you're the idiot doing this, or you're the idiot doing that. Just like all these cases that have happened. You know, Trayvon Martin. Yeah, they try to cry about George Zimmerman, which I guess George Zimmerman's a piece of crap. From what I hear, he's been up to a lot of shenanigans on his own. But still, that day, when the situation happened, Trayvon was being very suspicious. He had his hood on. He had his hands suspiciously in his pocket. And, you know, George didn't know what was going on. And then, I guess, what was it? He had a bag of Skittles, but probably the way he pulled it out, George thought it was a gun. Like, why would you just suspiciously randomly yank your Skittles out of your pocket when somebody's confronting you or whatever? Like, obviously, the first thing you're going to think is weapon. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's black, white guy, Asian guy, Latino. It doesn't matter. If somebody quickly yanks something out while you're confronting them, you're going to think, oh, weapon. So, like, he brought it on himself. Don't be suspicious. Don't be... I don't even know if he was doing it for, like, his own entertainment. Like, I'm going to try to scare this guy. Or if he just naturally is suspicious. But, you know? Or like Michael Brown. Oh, my word. Michael Brown was a huge piece of crap. You know, you don't ever hear that aspect. You don't hear how he was, like, taunting the cop and charged at him before he got shot and stuff. No. You just hear, oh, Michael is just however old, you know, young. And then this cop killed him. And then you see the cop that shot at him, and it's like, yeah, gee, I wonder why he shot at him. He's this raging nerd pipsqueak, and this big black guy's charging at him. Of course he's going to shoot at him. He's terrified. He's a little nerd who couldn't defend himself against, you know, I don't know, a mouse. Like, he became a cop probably so he could try to feel like a big guy, but deep down, you know, he still has those insecurities, and now this big black kid's charging at him, and he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, be real. It's not like Michael was fully complying and, yes, officer, okay, get down on yours, okay, sir, yes. No, he's acting like a total dickhead, like he brought it on himself. Just like the whole George Floyd nonsense. You know, Derek Chauvin, he killed him. No, he didn't. First off, stupid George was on a ridiculous amount of drugs. He was on fentanyl and something else. He was probably drunk a little too. So, you know, the guy was tripping as it was. Totally out of his mind. I mean, he was acting like a freak before that. If you pay attention, the footage is out there. How he was, like, acting like a freak prior to when he actually finally got apprehended. Also, he obviously was doing something wrong. And that's why cops were called on him in the first place. It's not like the cops were just cruising around. Hey, look, a black guy. Hey, let's go ruin his day. All right. No, they were called out to a location where he was because he was doing something wrong. I mean, from what I understand, what he was doing wasn't that bad. What did he do? Try to buy something with a fake 20? So I don't think anybody's going to call the cops on that. I've worked in industries, you know, retail and food service and stuff, and when people paid me fake money, either A, I just took it and was like, whatever, I'll deal with this later. You know, pretend I didn't know it was fake, or just straight up deal with it later. All you have to do is bring it to the bank and you're fine. The bank basically refunds you for your fake 20 anyways. It's not like my company was losing money. Or B, I just tell them, oh, this is fake. I can't take this. Do you have something else you can give me? Like, you don't call the cops. Maybe on big ticket items if they're paying with a lot. Like somebody, say, going to buy I want to say TV, but TVs are kind of cheap. But let's say a TV in the early 2000s. So it's like a $4,000 thing and they're paying with all fake hundreds. Okay, maybe you'd call the cops then. But for one innocent 20, it happens. I actually got a fake bill from the bank once. And I was like, are you serious? I thought they checked their stuff. I think, and the worst part is I think it was like a 50. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I never get 50s or hundreds. I always get 20s or lower. The one time I get a 50 and they ended up giving me a fake one. So, you know, it happens. So I don't think anybody's going to call the cops on that. I think what the cops were called for is because since he was strung out on drugs and potentially alcohol, that he was acting like a freak, and the person called just because he's disturbing the peace and all that. Not only is he trying to buy something with a fake 20, but maybe he was acting like a fool in the store too, because, you know, he's high and everything. So that's why the cops are called. And so, anyways, yeah, not only that, though, he clearly wasn't an upstanding citizen ever. Didn't he have a child that he was, like, super absentee for? Never paid his child support or anything? You know, didn't he not work? And then he has a super long rap sheet, just constantly in and out of jail, like an absolute loser. Can't get a job or anything. No, just keep committing crimes and keep going to jail and being a burden on the taxpayers. Don't get a job and try to be stable for your child and be there for her. Nope. Just be a complete idiot. And so then here comes the cops. And Derek happens to finally get him down after he's been super resistant and not cooperative with the cops at all. And he does a maneuver. That's a normal maneuver that the police are trained to do to subdue a criminal by putting their knee on the neck just to hold him down. I mean, it doesn't even look like in the videos I've seen in the images, like it's not like his knee is like right on the trachea or something. And Derek's like, George is like, geez, I really can't breathe. It's normal. It's like on the side of his neck just to pin him down. I mean, it took 9 minutes for him to die anyways. Do you think he was really suffocating off of having the knee on his neck? He would have passed out at like the 4-minute mark if it was because of that. Probably even sooner. Maybe even the 3-minute mark he would have passed out. And then it would have been like, oh, what happened here? No, like he was subdued because he continually kept being uncooperative and moving around and I can't breathe and all this, even though he's yelling, yeah, you can't breathe? I can't breathe. You know, it takes air and effort to be able to be that loud. When you really can't breathe, it's more like, I can't breathe, please. Can you get off me? No, I can't breathe. So yeah, for him just doing his job and apprehending a total piece of crap that somebody called the cops on because he was probably acting like an absolute fool in the store or on the streets or both or whatever, now Derek's in jail. Which is ridiculous because some stupid druggy criminal. You know, like, be real. And then you go, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, nobody said they don't. It's just when you act like an idiot. When anybody acts like an idiot, not just black people. If a white person's acting like an idiot, they'll get apprehended accordingly as well. If a Chinese person is, if a Japanese person, if a Latino, if a Pakistani, anything, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're not following the law and the cops need to apprehend you and take you to jail or whatever, then that's what's going to happen. You know, act right. It's not hard to not be an idiot and commit crimes. I've never committed crimes in my life. It's really not hard to do. It's also not hard that if you do have an interaction with the cops, that you just listen to them. Yeah, I know. A lot of times cops have an air about them and they're kind of dickish for no reason, but at the end of the day, just deal with it. You only have to deal with them for, 10, 15 minutes and then they're gone. And then you can talk as much crap about them as you want later with your friends or your family or even online. Make a video, just talk about, this trooper, blah, blah, he's such a dickhead. But in the moment, you're fine. Then you go away, you carry on with your day. It's just like that recent attack by, I guess she was a WNBA player, how she's acting like a moron. A cop came to her place. I don't know why the cop was there in the first place. But still, what'd she do? Come out with a knife, start swinging at him. She slashed up his face. And it's like, well, good thing all this footage was available from his body cam, because like people are saying, if it wasn't for that, because obviously she got shot and killed, and if it wasn't for that, then she'd be the new George Floyd 2024 edition. And it's like, she was acting like a moron. She came charging out of her place at him with a knife and was slashing him up. I mean, at the end of the video, it's kind of disgusting because he's got blood just like literally pouring out of his head. And it's like, ugh, Makes me kind of queasy. But yeah, so what? He's supposed to just let her kill him? Well, if I do anything to you, then I'm gonna have to hear it. I'm the bad guy because I'm apprehending you, who you are a bad guy, bad girl, I guess. But I guess I gotta let you just kill me with that knife. I can't defend myself for just trying to do my job. Nope. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's why I think the Black Lives Matter movement was stupid. And then not only that, but then it just turned into like not criminal, but I don't know, like not money laundering, but scam. There you go. It turned into like a scam. How whoever was running Black Lives Matter was pocketing all the money, and didn't they get like a mansion and all this nonsense and from the donations, instead of it actually going towards, I don't know, whatever it should have went to, the NAACP or something, I don't know. But instead of it going to something like a charity, it went to some idiots that started this movement. And yeah, so then it was just a whole huge fraud thing. So not only was the whole movement itself pretty stupid, but then it just turned into fraud. And it was like, all right, that's cool. Great movement you got there. Again, I don't really know how strong this movement is still going. I think it's kind of dead now, which is good. But it still went on even after the fraud was exposed. And people are just like, yep, I'm still going to donate to this because I believe that she deserves that mansion for absolutely no reason other than that I'm a brain-dead moron who can't think for myself. That's the other thing, too. The BLM movement sparked the ACAB, let's keep it clean, all cops are bad movement. So, like, that's not a good thing to be perpetrating either. You're going to start a movement that now in everybody's mind it's, oh, cops are terrible. Yeah, ACAB. Oh, yeah. Like I said, cops can be dickheads. They always have this air about them. They think they're so much better than you, which is, I always find so stupid. Because it's like, what about you is better than me? First off, you probably make less money than me. Second off, you have ridiculous hours. You're kind of always on call. So what? Because you can walk around with a gun? Well, anybody can. Just get a gun license and all that. Like, there's nothing special about you, okay? So stop acting like you're something more than you are. You're a guy just like I'm a guy. Like, relax. That's your job. I don't walk around acting like I'm something so special because I'm an engineer and a tutor at a college. I'm just a guy, just like you. But regardless, you can't walk around also being like, oh, all cops are terrible. Because you do need them to keep civil rest. Or to prevent civil unrest, I guess, whichever way sounds better. You need them to keep society functioning and proper. And, when there's issues, you can call them and they can come arrest people and take them away and all that. So that's another dumb thing that happened with BLM, trying to perpetrate that. Right, so for my third hot take, this is one that I feel like shouldn't even be considered a hot take. For the longest time, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't even have been an option to be considered a hot take. But recently, with, the Dems/libs being just ridiculous about everything, this has become a hot take. And it has to do with Columbus Day. So the hot take, I guess, is that Columbus Day should remain being called Columbus Day and not be changed to Indigenous Peoples Day, like they want to change it to, like they're trying to force onto people. First off, the guy obviously did something kind of, if you will, spectacular, especially for those days. He ended up discovering this land. Okay? Yeah, maybe you can make the argument that, well, he was trying to go to India, so he kind of was a failure. Okay, sure, yeah, he was trying to get to India, but you know what? He ended up here instead, and, by finding this place, he was able to inadvertently pave the groundwork for the colonization that happened and all that, which then led to the creation of this country. So, and then think about this. Not only did he accidentally find his way here, but then he was somehow able to find his way back to Italy. Like, he wasn't where he thought he was, so the maps that he had on him were useless because this place wasn't on the maps yet. It wasn't charted. Like, why would it be on the maps? They didn't know it was over here until he found it. So, yeah, from being completely lost, he was able to find his way back home. So even if you don't want to give him credit for anything else, like, I don't know, discovering this land, which led to the colonies and all that. And at least give him credit for that, for being absolutely lost and finding his way back. I mean, geez, did he even realize that he was somewhere that he didn't think he was? You know what I mean? Like, did he the whole time think he was in India, ended up in the wrong place, and still found his way back home, even though he's way off course? I mean, obviously, India is nowhere near here. So, but the other thing is, it's just, trying to call it Indigenous Peoples Day is just dumb because, first off, you know, Columbus gets the recognition because he was the winner, if you will. You know, I guess there was no, like, real war or anything that was going on when he was exploring. But, you know, in a way, he's the winner. Because, again, his discovery helped lay the groundwork so that way then this country could be born and stuff. You know, the natives, what were they doing? They weren't creating anything spectacular, revolutionary, anything. I mean, let's put it this way. The Christopher Columbus comes over here. They have guns. They have knives. They're properly dressed. They have proper language. I mean, he comes over here and sees the natives. They're all half naked, or if they are dressed, they're not wearing actual clothes. They're wearing like animal furs that they skinned off and then just kind of threw it on themselves like a shawl. You know, they don't. Their weaponry is very archaic. It's just like spears that they made out of sticks and then put some rocks in the end. Like, you know, they don't even know what a boat is. Something that's, I don't want to say basic, but, you know, relatively speaking, it's not like a car. You just take a few logs, tie them together, boom, you got yourself a makeshift boat. They don't even have a concept of that. They see these boats like, what in the heck is that? All awestruck. You know, even their language, did they even have like a solid language, or was it just kind of like sounds? I mean, you know, the most famous thing is the oh! So it's like, what did they even have for language? They, for the most part, were not very civilized at all. And that's a reason why they were called savages. Because, you know, their lack of civility and how they treated each other. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like with the skinning of the scalps and all that brutal, just over-the-top methods and stuff that they employed. You know, and then people want to act like Christopher Columbus is so terrible for, I don't know, discovering this land and stealing it and all this. But it's like, what do you think they were doing with each other? They were constantly fighting with each other and taking each other's land and all that. Which, fundamentally, there was no real claim to their land either when they had it. All it was, oh, this is what I call mine, so it's mine, stay off of it. You know what I mean? There was no real, well, why is it yours? Well, I don't know, because I said it is. Oh, okay. But then when a guy from Italy does it, I guess that's the problem now, right? How does that even make sense? He's playing by their rules. But then that's the other thing. They always want to try and make it out like, oh, Christopher Columbus stole the land. Even if you say he conquered it, it's still like stealing. Just a little bit more steps. But it's like, okay, but he what did he even take? He came here while being lost, thinking that he found India. That's why he came here and called the natives Indians, because he thought he was in India. Like, I don't think he had anything to do with the land. He discovered it and then did whatever he needed to do and went back. Went back. Jamestown wasn't founded until what, 1607? That's when you could really start crying about, oh, the land was stolen, when the settlers came over. So what are you trying to say? That Christopher Columbus lived to be well over 100? Like, well over? From 1492 to 1607, that's already 105 years right there. And then how old was he when he was sailing? Like 30, let's say? So that's 135. I mean, geez, if he has some secrets to longevity, hopefully he wrote them down. Because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in knowing those secrets nowadays. You know, like he had nothing to do with it. So he discovered a place. Okay. That makes him the bad guy all of a sudden. And then, yeah, back to what I was saying with the natives. Like, they were super archaic, too. That they were living in teepees. You know what a teepee is? It's basically a glorified tent. Do you want to live in a tent full time? No. Nobody does. Homeless people hate living in a tent, but at least it's better than laying on the cardboard, so they're like, I guess I'll take it. You know, even when you're camping, you don't want to be in the tent. You're like, oh, this sucks. I can't wait till I go back home tomorrow. And yet here they were, glorified tents, big holes in the top. They didn't even have proper roofing. They had the sticks poking out of the top. They're structural sticks. Like, so yeah, I think taking, quote unquote, taking the land from people like that really weren't doing much with it is not really that big a deal. Everything that we have now is a result of, having a vision and enacting that vision. I mean, if that never happened, what would this country be like now? I mean, I guess it would just be like a huge forest still, which would be kind of cool. A whole giant country that's just trees. Okay, I guess there's some positive aspects to that, but, like, they were, 500 years behind civilization at that time? So even if that was still the case, let's say they kept progressing at the same exact rate as everyone else. So 500 years back from now would be the 1500s. So even if they were able to, like, somehow, keep their own progression but be 500 years behind, all they would have is, like, crappy guns compared to what we have now. They'd have no cars still. They'd have boats. Basic boats that use wind, because they don't have motors or anything. Like, they'd still be way behind the times and be severely uncivilized. Well, maybe not uncivilized, but, severely third world. There you go. The other thing that's really dumb about trying to call it Indigenous Peoples Day is when you actually stop and use your brain and think about it, it doesn't even make sense. Columbus Day, I'm not entirely sure when that is. What is it, October 8th, October 11th? I don't know. But, I'm sure that day means something. I don't know what it is. It could be his birthday. It could be when he landed here and discovered America. It's something. There's obviously a reason for why that date was chosen, though, okay? It's not like they're just like, well, we want to honor Christopher Columbus and give him a day, but I don't know what it should be. And then somebody was like, I got an idea. We can just throw coins at this map laid out on a desk and see where the coin lands. And then if one of them's on a date, we'll just take that date. Okay. And then it landed on October 8th or whatever. No, there's a reason. So now if you're going to go and call it Indigenous Peoples Day, that's just dumb. Now you're giving Indigenous people a day on a date that's just kind of just generic. There's no real reason to it. You know what I mean? Oh, October 8th. Why is this Indigenous Peoples Day? Oh, it's because it used to be Columbus Day and we didn't like that. Oh, so you don't have a real reason. It's not like this chief did this on that day or something. It's just, the Disney route. Instead of creating new black characters and stuff like that, you're just going to take existing ones and turn them black and pretend everything's fine. Is that what's happening right now? Oh, man. Yeah. So it's dumb that they're trying to push that. Oh, we're going to call it Indigenous Peoples Day. No, you're not. It's Columbus Day. I don't even care that much about Columbus Day. It means nothing to me in the grand scheme of things. I'm not Italian. I haven't had a day off from it in years. I think the last time was when I was in school. Geez, even now I work out of school and we still don't even get the day off. So I'm like, wow, so much for that. I thought I was going to get a free holiday. Guess not. So it doesn't really matter to me in that regard. It's the point of it that it's pretty stupid. Just like when they're trying to override Easter with Trans Day of Visibility, and then they try to come up with the stupid excuses. No, it's always on this day. Easter's the one that changes dates, and then this year it just happened to be that Easter landed on Trans Day of Visibility. It doesn't matter. Even if that is the case, you still were accentuating the Trans Day of Visibility over Easter. It was like Easter was the afterthought. Oh, Trans Day of Visibility, that's the one that matters, and that's the issue that people had. If they fall on the same day, you pick the one that is more important and has more significant meaning, which isn't the stupid Trans Day of Visibility. That's for people with severe mental illness, and rather than seeing a psychiatrist, they're just like, yeah, just accept me. Yeah, it's easier than getting the help I need. So yeah, that's like this nonsense. You're going to go and change Columbus Day to be Indigenous Peoples Day for what? For no real reason at all. Other than that, you're dumb. Oh, they stole land. No, they didn't. It was one, if anything. They had just as fair of a chance as anyone else to be able to defend their land that they stole themselves. I'm talking about the Indigenous people. that they stole, and they lost. So, you know what? That's what happens. Until money was like a solid thing in Devise, and then you just bought the land. But they didn't have money because, again, they were uncivilized. So, yeah, I thought I had more to say, but I guess not. So that wraps that up. Christopher Columbus Day, whatever you want to say, should remain, not turn into Indigenous Peoples Day. Now for hot take number 4. This one has to do with sports. It's something that I don't know if it's really a hot take, but my brother's huge into sports, and when I was talking about it with him one day, he did agree with what I thought. So I'm like, well, maybe I am onto something more than I think I am. I don't really follow sports, so I was like, maybe I'm way off and I'm just an idiot. But when he agreed, it was like, well, he's kind of a sports expert. So anyways, my thing is that sports, or at least baseball specifically, back in the day were not as difficult as they are today. So what I really am referencing is Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is always like seen and lauded as like, I don't know, one of the best baseball players of all time. But when you really stop and break him down, he was an overweight, probably chain smoker who had a very unhealthy diet. I mean, from what I understand, he liked to eat hot dogs. So like he ate poorly, he was fat, and he smoked. And like that's your star player? I mean, if somebody was like that on a team nowadays, they'd probably just be like a pinch hitter. And then after they hit the ball, they'd need to have a pinch runner go run for them. Like, that's not a star player anymore. And like, from what I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think weren't stadiums smaller back in the day too? Like now stadiums go out to like 475 feet. But back then it was probably like what, 400, maybe 425? So like stadiums were a little smaller, which means hitting a home run was a lot easier compared to now, you know what I mean? Like say center field is 400 feet, but then you got the left field or whatever, and it's say 375. So now you hit a ball 380 down the left field line, boom, homer. But nowadays, with the 475 center field, maybe right field's 400. Well, you hit 380, that's not a homer. Yeah, you might still be able to get a double off of it or something, but it ain't a homer. So again, you got Babe Ruth looking like he's this all-star player, but he's playing in a smaller field. Also, the pitchers. I feel like pitchers nowadays are way better than they were. Actually, I don't feel like I know they are way better than they were back then. Because now pitchers just consistently throw heat after heat after heat. You know what I mean? It's like one pitch will be 100 miles an hour. The next one's 97. The next one's 92. The next one after that's 99. Then it's 101. Then it's 97. It's just consistent every single throw. And I remember not too long ago when pitchers were like hitting 100, and it was like, oh my God, like it was such a big deal. He hit 100 miles an hour, and now it's normal. They do it all the time. And so anyways, I feel like the pitchers back in the day were probably just like practically throwing the equivalency of a knuckleball today, you know what I mean? Something that's kind of floating down the line at 60, 70 miles an hour, which yeah, still is decent speed, but compared to nowadays, it's a lot slower, which makes it a lot easier for the batter to track, which means they have a better chance of hitting it. I mean, don't they also pitch kind of slow in a home run derby? And the whole point is to nail homers. So here they are, throwing slower. Now the batters have a higher chance of nailing homers because the field is smaller, the pitch was nice and slow, like, you know? I mean, again, think about Babe Ruth. Husky chain smoker. He was a pitcher, right? And he also batted and stuff. Like, nowadays, if you're Husky, yeah, you could be a pitcher. You know, there are some CC Sabathia's Husky. Isn't Bartolo Colon a pitcher? I always forget. Is he a pitcher or is he first base? I think he's a pitcher, right? And he's kind of husky. But the difference between now and back in the day is nowadays, if you're a pitcher, you're just a pitcher. Then when the inning's over, you're sitting on the bench. You're not going to bat. I mean, depending on the conference you're in or whatever, you might have to bat. But otherwise, you don't have to bat. So, oh man, this dry throat nonsense. But yeah, so someone like Babe Ruth don't think you'd be out pitching and then be able to go, okay, yep, I turned the bat now. Let me just hit a homer while I'm fat and eating a hot dog and smoking. No, like, it's not going to happen. And then the other thing, it's kind of goofy, but let's be real. Back when Babe Ruth was playing, there was no black people or Dominicans or anything like that. It was him versus other white nerds. So yeah, all you gotta do is stand out a little more from the rest of the whiteys and you're gonna look awesome. For some reason black people and stuff are always known for being way better at sports than white people. So put Babe Ruth on a Negro League team and see how he does. He'd be terrible. They'd all be crushing him and he'd be sitting there looking like an idiot and he'd be like, I gotta get back in my white team. So I just don't think that a player back, those type of players are as good or hold up, if you will, today as they did back in the day. I feel like, how they put like an asterisk next to guys who did steroids with their home run records? I feel like maybe there should be an asterisk for players that are like pre the integration of black people. So like pre the 40s. Yeah, okay, you were good with other white people, but how were you against everyone? Same as like any players from like way back in the day. Like when was baseball invented? That was like the 18-somethings, right? 1893 or something. So granted, it was just kind of invented then. It wasn't really played professionally and stuff. But like if there was anybody who played back then or whatever, and they were famous, like Honus Wagner's one of those players, right? But he's not famous for his stats. He's famous for his card. His card is expensive. But let's say he was good. It's like, but is he really good? Like, he was playing during the days when baseball's rules were being invented. Like, how would he hold up today with established rules and, actual pros? I don't know. Another sport that I feel like's kind of changed like that too, actually, is skateboarding. Think about it. Skateboarding used to just be kind of like a semi-recreational hobby. Like, oh, I like to skateboard. Ooh. And then the 80s came, and like that's when Tony Hawk and Rodney Mullen and all them came out, and they started taking it a little more seriously and made it a professional sport. And then the X Games, I don't know if X Games were already around or what, but then it was in the X Games, and they're tearing it up. And remember like Tony Hawk, what was it, in the 99 X Games when he hit that 900? That was such a huge thing. Everyone was like, oh my god, yeah, woo! Like, even his competitors in the X Games were like cheering for him to do it, and he finally did it, and everyone was so pumped. And it's like, nowadays a 900's nothing. You know what I mean? Now it's like, if you can't do a 900 and the best you can do is a 720, it's like, I don't know how you're gonna be as a pro. I'd say you're still amateur. You know what I mean? Like, there's kids out there now doing, 1080s? That means a 900's nothing to them. If you can land a 1080, you can easily land a 900. You know what I mean? You don't have. You got one less half turn to go. Oh, I got my 900, and I did the 1080. I went all the way. And then before you know it, a 1080 will probably be nothing. Then they'll be on to the next thing. Plus 180. I don't know. A 1270, 1260. And so on. No, 1160. What would it be on? I'm getting confused trying to do math in my head while driving. But anyways, so that's another one. But as far as the other sports go, I can't really speak on if they've changed. Like basketball, let's say. Basketball feels like it's probably pretty consistent. You have a ball, you bounce it, you throw it at the net, and try to get it in. Like, there's not really too much that can change there. You know what I mean? It's not like baseball, like I said, with the sizes being bigger, the field size being bigger, or pitches faster, or whatever. I mean, I guess the only things that could change would be maybe the type of balls used. Maybe back in the day it was some kind of like weird leather ball or something, and now they use like rubber, so it's bouncier and stuff. And also maybe the baskets are higher nowadays because everybody's so dang tall. You got like Manute Bol and Yao Ming and even Shaq. He's only, so to speak, 7'1". I'm saying only thinking about these other guys, how they're like 7'6". But still, so like he's just filled out. Like a lot of tall guys are usually sticks. Like Manu Ball's an absolute stick. He's like what, 7'6", 180 pounds. Where you got Shaq, who's like 7'1", but he's like 380. But it's like, but he's just big, you know. So maybe that's a change, that they made the baskets a little higher. But otherwise, I feel like for the most part, probably just about the same. Or like football. If anything, I don't want to say football's gotten easier, but at least it's gotten a lot safer. You know what I mean? The helmets back in the day were just like a helmet and then that bar thing that went in front of your face. Now they have like proper face shielding and neck pad thing, or not neck, chin pad thing, and you know, proper cushions in the helmet and all this, and better shoulder pads and everything. So in a way, football's been improved. I wouldn't say it makes it easier. I mean, a tackle's still a tackle. You know, some guy slams you down to the ground. It doesn't matter if it's 1958 or if it's 2024. It's still going to hurt. But, yeah, baseball and I guess skateboarding, I feel like anybody that was good back in the day might not hold up to today. Like, if they're able to keep their prime form and come back, you know what I mean? Because obviously someone like Tony Hawk might not be as good as a kid nowadays because he's, you know, in his 50s or something. But if you took prime him, maybe he wouldn't stand out. I mean, think about it. He didn't do the 900 until he was an adult. Yet there's kids, literal kids, doing 1080s now. Kids who are probably the same age as him when he started in the 80s doing 1080s. And, like, a 900 was unthinkable. So, you know what I mean? So that about wraps that up. Now, this next clip, which should be, I guess, item number 5 or hot take number 5, I guess. This is actually semi out of context. So what this is this is something that I recorded when I recorded number 1 and 2. I forgot what my third one was supposed to be. And like I said, since I do these while I'm driving, I didn't really have I couldn't really be checking through my phone and looking at my notes list to see what my idea was supposed to be. So I kind of just made one up on the spot. I'm not really satisfied with it because, you know, it's not real. I don't really have too much like backing for it, or I do, but I don't know. It's kind of like a weak argument. But again, it wasn't on the original plan. But then when I got home and I parked, then I remembered what my third one was, which was, you know, the Christopher Columbus thing. So I wrote it down, and I was like, dang it, I want to add that into this video. Because I was going to just edit what I had and then upload that. But I was like, no, I want the Christopher Columbus. And then as time went on, like a day or something, then I thought of this sports changing over time one. And then I was like, oh, man, I could add that too. So, since I already had this thing recorded, I figured I'll just add it. Plus, it makes it like a top 5 video now. So, not top 5 meaning like copying the channel, but I'm just saying like a list of 5. It's more normal than like a list of 3. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just keep it and add it. So, yeah. So, I just want to say that just because there might be some things that sound kind of out of place maybe, because normally it was following up my second reason, which now it's been pushed back to. So, yeah. So, anyways, with that preamble for this next idea out of the way, let's get at it. Here is hot take number 5, which really shouldn't even be considered shouldn't even be considered a hot take. It's just, I know that the left is so extreme nowadays that they wouldn't agree with what I'm going to say. So, kind of transitorily, that makes it a hot take. But I feel like what it is racism only exists because it keeps being talked about. Which means basically it's being perpetrated to stay alive. See, what I mean is, you know, everybody's always crying about, oh, this country's so racist. But it's like, is it really, though? Is it? Or is it just that the media and everybody keeps constantly talking about it? And maybe, like Morgan Freeman said in that interview, you know, just stop talking about it. Don't refer to this person as black or this person as Latino or this or that. Just say this guy. Good enough. Stop perpetrating it. Stop making everything always be all about race, and then maybe it'll dwindle down. Sure, there'll still be some thoughts or whatever, but if it's not constantly at the forefront, nobody's gonna be thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's like kids. Little kids go to school, they make friends with everyone. They base their friends on, oh, this kid likes to color too, just like I do, so that's why I like him or her. Oh, this kid likes to play with me outside, so that's why I like him or her. This kid sits at my table, so that's why I'm his or her friend. Simple as that, just because you sit at my table. They don't judge it as, oh, well, that kid's white, that's why I'm his friend. There's a lot of black kids in my class, so I try to stay away from them. No, little kids don't care. Then as they get older, they might hear some stuff from their parents, which their parents have that racism still going in their head, maybe because they're a leftist and they just constantly hear CNN talking about it. Now that kid starts to learn a little. And then boom, you just created another generation of little racists, or people at least want to cry about racism. They'll say, I'm not racist, while crying about it how everyone else is, though. One or the other is going to happen. And it's like, just stop talking about it. A lot of brain-dead idiots, Barack Obama, think that people should vote for Kamala just because she's a person of color. Remember his dumb, I say remember like it was so long ago, it was just a week ago at this point, his dumb speech he gave to black guys. Oh, some of you in here aren't going to be voting for Kamala Harris. And what is that for? Is that to me seems like some sexism. Come on. Why would you want to vote for the alternative option? And when you should be voting for her? And going on and on with this dumb speech. And it's like, shut the F up, you mother effer. Don't tell them how they should be voting just because that's what you think. That's because that's what you want to waste your vote on. Like, first off, voting for somebody because you can identify to them based on their color, it's kind of stupid. And also, when these people say dumb stuff like that, they need to envision it in the other direction as well and see how they'd feel. If there was, what if a white person said, oh, I'm voting for Trump because he's white? Yeah. Oh, that wouldn't fly at all. Oh my God, this guy's so fucking racist. We should throw him in jail. Oh, but you can say it in the opposite direction. Yeah, you should all be voting for Kamala because she's brown, just like you are. Like, no. They can vote for whoever they feel like is better. Now, if they're brain dead, like you, Barack, and they think, oh yeah, voting for the mess that we're currently in to keep that going, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Current VP sucked at her job, but we think she should be promoted? Oh yeah, let's go for it. Then fine, they can vote that way. But if they're educated and they're like, nah, man, she's the current VP, the economy absolutely sucks, everything about this country kind of sucks right now, we're the laughingstock of the world. They know that we're weak, that's why all these wars are breaking out. Our inflation sucks, mortgage rates sucks. Mortgage rates suck. We're not energy independent. Our border's wide open. Like, what country has a wide open border? We also have this weird, insane trans epidemic going on where guys think, day one, I'm a man. Day two, I'm a woman. Let me join your sports. Let me use your locker room. Don't mind my dick. That's a girl dick. Don't mind that boner I have looking at all you naked girls. I'm just a lesbian. And like, we're supposed to just accept that. Yep, that's fine. That's normal. Yep. Like, yes, we got all this crap going on. And let's see, this brown lady who's in the VP spot currently and wants to get a promotion. Yeah, no, she doesn't deserve it. Her and her team suck. It's funny, she wants to keep talking about turn the page. Well, turn the page to what? You? You're already on the page we're on. We're going to turn the page and hey, you're still there. Like, there is no page turning. So yeah, maybe if those black guys have a brain and they want to vote for Trump, good for them. Who are you, Barack, to tell them otherwise, you idiot. It's just annoying too when all these celebrities or people like that, who like that meaning like former politicians or whatever, that are doing well off, try to tell others how to vote and stuff. Like, I'm an authority. You should be listening to me. Yep. Like, no. You're doing perfectly fine. You got, what, 3 houses? One of them's on Martha's Vineyard. One of them's in D.C. And you got your other one wherever it is. You know, you got tons of money from your book deals and speaking gigs that you get. Like, you're super well off. Nothing's affecting you in the grand scheme of things. Mortgage rates? What's a mortgage? I just pay the house off right away. I have all the money to do so. You know? Or when dumb celebrities try to. Which, for once, it finally backfired with Oprah and Rock, Dwayne Johnson. You know, usually people are dumb. Like, I always think that. Like, you got the telethons and donate to this. And it's like, why are all these famous rich people asking us for money? Why don't you donate? What's your net worth? $100 million? Mine's like negative 20,000. Why am I supposed to donate? How does that make any sense? Why don't you donate like $10 million? It's not going to affect you at all, and it's a decent amount of money, which will be greatly appreciated by whatever organization it is that you're trying to raise money for. Jeez, get 10 of your friends. Boom, there's $100 million right there. Done. They should be all set with that, instead of having, 250 million Americans donate $5. I always thought that was dumb. And so anyways, it was cool when the people, kind of turned on Oprah and Dwayne and were like, hold up, you both are billionaires. Your combined net worth is like, what, $5 billion? And you're going to ask us for money? You could easily donate $100 million each and it wouldn't affect you at all. It would be like us donating $10. And you're going to ask us for money? You got $200 million right there between the two of you, and you're going to ask all of us for $5? So finally, it was like, all right, cool. People are finally less dumb. But that's because the economy's so terrible that that's the only reason why they're smart. Things are that bad that people finally are seeing the light. Like, hold on, I'm struggling like a mother effer, and this rich famous person wants to ask me for money. Before, I would have never realized this correlation, but now I do, because I'm broke as F. I don't know. Anyways, kind of went on a tangent there because of stupid Obama. But all I'm trying to say is racism, I think, only if I think it doesn't exist as extremely as the left tries to make you think. And I also think it would quickly and easily just go away if they would stop talking about it. But they love having that tension, that inter-race feuding. So they're just going to keep talking about it. Oh, yeah, there's so much racism. So then black people are looking at white people like, oh, you're racist. And white people are looking at black people like, oh,
oh, man, you're racist against me.
That's supposed to be a nerd thing to come out right.
Oh, God. There's a black guy over there. He's probably racist against me.
And yeah, you keep that crap going. Like, just stop talking about it. And then it would die. Literally, the next generation of kids, it would die with. They'd go to school, play with their black friends, their Indian friends, their whatever friends, and grow up. They'd still be friends. Boom. No racism. All solved. There you go. Stop fucking talking about it. Anyways, that's all I got. This one's a little bit shorter because, my third hot take, I didn't have as much to say about it as I thought I did. I usually practice these things before I actually record them just so I can have my thoughts organized and everything, and I know what I plan on saying. So it's kind of freestyled, but kind of not. But, I thought I had more to say about this. But at the same time, I don't even know if this was fully my topic, because I kind of forgot, which is annoying. I forgot my first topics the other day, then I remember them today, and now as I'm recording this, I forgot the last topic. And I knew it had something to do with racism, and I was like, I don't know, I'll just say this. It is still something I think, but it wasn't as big of a segment as I was planning it to be. So I must have screwed something up. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's all I got for now. So if you got through this whole thing, thanks for listening. Hopefully you understand where I'm coming from and you can realize that my hot takes aren't as hot as you'd think. And until next time, I said see ya.